These adorable cubs have no idea what's coming for them when they'll meet a real tiger for the first time in their lives. Welcome back, everyone. It's me. And in this video, we're going to see what happens when some cubs finally meet an adult tiger after living in a zoo enclosure their whole lives. You don't want to miss this, so make sure to stay tuned until the end. The relationship between tigers and cubs is a beautiful thing. Cubs are born without any survival skills and completely dependent on their mother for the first few months of life. The mother tiger must be patient and caring towards her cubs, teaching them how to hunt and survive in the wild. But sometimes, even if mother tigers are very good at taking care of their cubs, the opposite isn't always true. In some cases, mother tigers might not get along with other animals in the area and could be forced to leave. Also, when a new tiger arrives in a zoo enclosure, things can get complicated really fast. In this case, these adorable cubs will meet a real tiger for the first time, and they'll be shocked by its size. In 2016, a family from the National Zoo in Washington, D.C. was enjoying a nice summer day. Little did they know that a visit to the zoo that day would become one of the most unforgettable days of their lives. They were visiting the tiger enclosure when they witnessed something unbelievable. A giant orange and black striped cat was pacing back and forth in front of the glass wall of its cage. The people gathered around the cage couldn't believe what they were seeing. They were witnessing a magnificent Siberian tiger. Siberian tigers are the largest subspecies of tigers and can weigh up to 660 pounds and measure 10 feet long. Their thick fur helps them survive cold temperatures, and they're great swimmers, too. The tiger was pacing anxiously because it wanted to spend some time outside its enclosure, but it was too hot outside, and the zookeepers didn't let it out. Soon, the tiger would get its wish. And when the zoo opened, it was set free to roam the zoo grounds. But that wouldn't be the only surprise for the visitors that day. While the big cat was being set free, a group of zookeepers opened another gate, and this time it was for the tiger cub enclosure. 3 adorable cubs came running as soon as they heard the gate open. They were curious about what was going on, not knowing that their lives were about to change forever. When the cub's mom saw the big cat approaching, she tried to hide them. Tigers usually keep an eye out for predators when they're out in the wild. But in zoos, they don't have to worry about much. But the truth is that tigers can still be very nervous and anxious, so they resort to pacing their cages or showing other kinds of weird behaviors. That's why the tiger kept pacing back and forth in front of the glass walls of its cage. But now that the tiger was outside the enclosure, the cub's mom knew that something had changed. She understood that there was a big tiger out there, and that her cubs needed to know that they were dealing with a potential threat. Although it doesn't happen often, tigers can be dangerous to cubs if they feel threatened. The cub's mom knew she had to teach them that a tiger was out there, and she did that by letting out a loud roar. The 3 cubs were scared at first, but then they started to run around, full of energy. At first, the big tiger seemed very interested in the cubs, but it didn't seem like it wanted to approach them. The tiger just kept walking around while the cubs continued running until the tiger got close enough, and then one of the cubs decided to approach it. Even though they had never seen a tiger before, they had probably smelled it before, and they knew that they had to be careful. The biggest cub approached the tiger and sniffed it to see if it was friendly or not. The tiger stayed calm and didn't do anything to scare the cub away. The little tiger cub seemed very curious and wanted to play, but the big tiger wasn't having it. Even though it looked calm, the tiger was actually growling. The cub didn't realize it at first, but it eventually backed off. We can tell by the cub's body language that it understands that tigers are not supposed to be messed with. The little cub seems to have realized that it's better to stay away from this kind of animal. However, the other 2 cubs weren't convinced yet, and they wanted to get closer. These guys can't understand why their mother is acting like that, and they don't seem to be afraid at all. One of them even gets close to the tiger and tries to lick it. But the big tiger gets annoyed and swats the cub with its paw. This makes the cub realize that tigers aren't as friendly as they look. And after this, the cubs and their mother decide to go back into their enclosure. Tigers can be very gentle with cubs, but they can also be extremely aggressive. As we mentioned before, even if tigers don't have natural enemies in the wild, they need to stay alert and ready to attack if necessary. Mother knows that tigers are excellent hunters and can kill prey in seconds. That's why she taught her cubs to stay away from the tiger. Mother also wants her cubs to learn that tigers are solitary animals and don't live in groups. In nature, they prefer to be alone. Tigers have large territories and usually stay away from each other to avoid conflicts. However, if two tigers cross paths, they may engage in aggressive behaviors such as roaring, growling, and displaying their teeth and claws. This is exactly what the mother wants her cubs to learn. She wants them to know that even if they're cute and adorable, they should never mess with a tiger. At this point, the mother wants to take her cubs back to the enclosure, but one of them is still trying to go near the tiger. The mother doesn't allow this and keeps her cub close to her. She needs to make sure that none of them gets too close to the tiger. If one of them accidentally stumbles and falls, the tiger could easily pounce and eat the cub. This is why she keeps them close and away from danger. As you can see, motherly love is the most powerful thing in the world. The mother tiger does everything she can to protect her cubs and teach them the skills they need to survive. In the wild, tigers are incredibly strong and agile. They can leap up to 30 feet in a single bound and climb trees with ease. They use their sharp claws to grip branches and navigate their surroundings. Their powerful jaws and razor-sharp teeth enable them to deliver fatal bites and slashes to their prey. It's hard to say what would happen if a tiger attacked a cub in the wild. It would depend on the situation and the mother's behavior. However, it's unlikely that a tiger would intentionally target a cub. In general, tigers are solitary creatures who prefer to avoid one another. When they do interact, it's often through scent marking or during mating season. But most of the time, they live separate lives and don't have much reason to fight. Of course, there are exceptions to every rule. Sometimes, two tigers might compete for a mate and get into a scuffle, or a mother tiger may defend her cubs aggressively if she feels threatened. But these situations are relatively rare. In general, tigers are pretty chill and prefer to mind their own business. They're also pretty good at communicating with each other without getting physical. They use a variety of vocalizations like growling, roaring, and hissing to let each other know what they're thinking. They also use visual cues like tail movements and ear positions to convey their moods. So while it's possible for two tigers to get into a fight, it's not necessarily common. In fact, most of the time they're able to communicate effectively and avoid any unnecessary aggression. Overall, tigers are fascinating creatures who deserve our respect and admiration. They're powerful, graceful, and intelligent animals who play an important role in their ecosystems. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to share it with your friends and family and stay tuned for more amazing videos. Thank you for watching and we'll see you next time.